It is because of the webcam.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Sorry for a little bit delay because of technical difficulties. Friends, I have got a lot of warm response of Dr. Keu's effort to reach up to all. This is my first appearance directly live, and I'll try to be my best to share some of the very beautiful experiences of my homeopathic practice. Friends, today I'll try to cover up very important dimensions of homeopathic practice, and that is called constitutional prescribing. Many time beginner or patients or those who are well wishers of homeopathy do frequently ask question to us that, Dr. Saab, why are you going to so much of detail? Why are you going so many details? Why do you ask certain type of modality, certain type of likes, dislikes, and also many times you go into very personal detail of our life? Why homeopath asks so much of details? Not only that, they go into detail of family history, they also try to find out how are you in your health, and not only restricting to disease. It's very interesting dimension of practice that when we say homeopathy is holistic, homeopathy tries not only cover by asking but making meaning to every inquiry which is useful for arriving at right constitutional remedy. What is this constitutional remedy? And what is this constitutional prescribing when I am talking about this prescription? So it is very, very important to go and understand that even in Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned that the cause of the disease lies in man's ability to adapt to his circumstances. He who fails to adapt to his circumstances becomes victim of chronic disease. It's very interesting. From age-old wisdom till when we go to Parcells, one of the great physician from Germany and Swiss background, he says that root of each disease lies in his constitution. Then comes to Hahnemann, Master Hahnemann, who mentions in his Organon of Medicine, aphorism number 5, that each case you go in, acute case you study what are the various factors which is making someone sick, that are outside factors. And then furthermore, he goes and says that what are the factors which is fundamental cause. For beginner of homeopathy, they will be finding what is this fundamental cause. I'll explain to you as we proceed ahead. He says that you study man's entire constitution in his body as well as his mind, moral character, intellectual abilities, his ability to adapt to his circumstances. Furthermore, he tries to explore that if this man in his constitution, if he is happy, healthy, then the entire being work in harmony and adapts to his circumstances. So everything is set, everything is set right for homeopath to explore what is sick inside every individual. 20 times in Organon of Medicine and in chronic disease, Hahnemann mentions about use of constitutional forces, study of constitutional forces. So these are various uh, demand of homeopathic physician and homeopathic practice. So, what is this constitution when we talk about? Constitution in homeopathic practice is made up of, I'm making it little simplistic version, but what in Ayurveda they call it Prakriti. Study the details of Prakriti. Same way in homeopathy, we go into details of Prakriti and five things we must know. One, you study entire family history, which will give you a genetic, biological dimensions of suffering. So many forces. These are forces. Constitutional internal is a force. And this force is leading you when you are in happy, healthy movement for your growth and when you are in disharmony toward the disease. So, what is this genetic force? That is your inherited force. If you are born with diabetic history, you are born with cancer history, you are born with some psychiatric illness in family, you have propensity to go in this direction whenever you are in a stressful circumstances. So it is very, very important for homeopath to understand this, that what are your propensities, where the genetic force is taking you. The next comes is man's ability to study and adapt in his environment. Wherever he stays, what and how he adapts to his various forces like environmental forces, social forces, food forces. What you eat makes you what you are today. जैसा अन्न ऐसा ओढ़कार, ऐसा गुजराती में हमारा कहावत है. So what you eat, you become. Your food influences you, your environment influences you, and your relationship. How do you relate to entire circumstances around you? And this is very, very important to study for homeopathic constitutional prescribing. Many a time we go into friction because the other person also has his own constitution, prakriti. He is also a live human being, and he is going to be in interaction with you, and that produces a lot of stress because my view, my values, my system, his view, his value, and his system, they come into clash. As a healthy human being, you will try to find out meaning and make sense to the whole existence. When we go into disharmony, we start feeling insecure, we feel upset in relating to these people. So this is how our entire constitution, our mind and body responds and react to environmental forces, social forces, relation forces. And furthermore, go when we go up and we try to understand that every man is internally connected to higher being beyond his understanding. I call that a spiritual force. Everyone is searching for it. Final adaptation to environment in our philosophy is called Advaita. There is no difference between you and your environment. You are one, unification. This is called the perfect health. And this is dimensions which, whether you are conscious or not aware about, the whole being travels in this direction. And this is all dimensions of constitution which I talked to you, which covers in nutshells the biological dimension, psychological, how you are grown up in various relationship, in your circumstances, in your family, in your society. And the third is various social forces. Now we see Ukraine. What is happening in Ukraine? Will the mind remain same? Will it not influence? Even things happening in Ukraine, we are upset here. We feel sad, we feel angry, we feel upset and disturbed. So these are social forces which do affect. And the reaction to these social forces is also directly proportional to what you are also living in right now. Are you in semblance where you will be able to see things with a samta, with balance, or you will be seeing things with your own prejudiced eye? As media throws things on us and we capture, we get upset, we get happy, unhappy. Do we have our own self? Do we have our own perspective? And where if we are in a perfect health, we will be able to balance this perspective and look life from a little distance and able to make more sense. So many forces, and these forces has to be studied. That's why a good homeopath goes into detail of understanding human being. It's not easy. The greatest part of this entire study is the challenge of, is homeopath communicating to community clearly that what do you want from your patient? What are you going to do of this information? How this information is helping you to arrive at a right prescription? Because homeopathy remedy are based on all these different dimensions. If you study in acute, where environmental forces are at peak, you will be using acute remedy, like you are getting wet in rain, you have exerted yourself too much, you have a body ache, which is only better when you are in moving situation. Then remedy like rustox in acute helps. But is it enough? Hahnemann says, no, don't stop here. What is available to now is not enough. Study entire man in his evolution. Various dimensions of evolution, as I talk to you, has to be studied. Put all the pieces together and try to find out what is this individual, a unique individual, which is trying to cope up with his environment and reaching toward higher purpose of his existence. That's what Hahnemann mentions in aphorism number 9. He expects you to finally travel toward the journey which is designed, naturally designed within you. So, putting homeopathic medicine puts you, if correctly prescribed, into your natural state, spontaneous natural state, which has its own individual intelligence to respond to various circumstances, to which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita as a yukta. So, this is how you will be going in various cases in detail. Now, question and challenge comes up is, how do you do this? How every client will be able to talk to you in detail? Do they understand? And I say that yes, my experience of 30 years says that every client knows himself if you give them time and space to explore themselves. So your questionnaire, and many a time in my clinic, I give pre-questionnaire. Whatever questions I'm going to ask, I'm going to give them in advance. So they study it by themselves that what homeopath wants from you. Then I go in detail of each case and let the patient tell his own story without your prejudices, without your judgment, without your biases. You listen to everyone, giving adequate time and space for them to explore themselves, what questions you have asked. And I found that even small, growing up children also talk about themselves, and even a person who is at 90-year old also able to talk if you give them this time, space, and your energy for them to explore. Now most important thing comes up, everyone tells story of their life, covers so many aspects of likes, dislikes, at mental and emotional front, at body front. What are the most important, what are the most striking thing which homeopath must attend in his constitutional prescription? I will be sharing with you very important dimension called Hans Selye. Was a great scientist from Canada, and he has studied that man is maximum and the best available, his constitution is best available in his crisis. So whenever someone is in extreme stressful situation, in that situation, if you ask question to him, what happened to you? Like today I have a patient who had gone through a tumor in his renal area, was suspected malignant tumor. When I asked him, it started since how long, what is the process time, and what happened during that time. And relatively reserved looking individual who doesn't communicate with anyone shares his entire agony with shades of tears in his eyes, that how his various relationship, what good he has done for family, but how family has not responded to him when he was in need. Friends, every individual has some story to tell you. Are we prepared to listen to them? Are we prepared to find out unique characteristic of these circumstances? What is this boy suffering from when he is doing a lot for family and when he is finding it not been responded well by family? It looks very, very challenging. That expectation, as mentioned in Gita, is the root cause of most of the suffering. We will ask fundamental question: isn't it very important to expect from human being in relationship? I'll say yes, but the story doesn't end here only by just expectation. Story ends here by expectation in the way I want, and that's where the suffering starts. And we expect from all. Many people around us are not even mentally healthy enough to respond to you with their responsibility. So you have to expect from a people which are rational and healthy. You cannot expect in these circumstances where someone is already ill and sick. So this is how each case in his stress will express inner being. Even their taste, even their likes, dislikes are expressed beautifully during this stress time. So I recommend all my homeopathic students that explore your chief complaint in depth, and 90% time during this period of chief complaint you will find that patient has lost his sleep, patient has lost his appetite, or he started eating more, he started craving for something more, or he has gone through a situation in his life which he is unable to adjust with. I'm sure this is the greatest method which I learned from my teacher at Dr. M.L. Dowd Institute: how to inquire, how to relate, and how to explore each patient's inner being. And to me, this is very, very vital and important. Friends, there is no end to my talk. I would like to all of you to raise your question, and remaining part I will complete after answering some of your questions. I'm keeping floor open for you up to this point. What are the question comes in your mind? What do you expect me to respond to you? Feel free to ask question. Uh, Dr. Keur is assisting me in the whole process, so he will tell me various questions and I'll respond accordingly.
I will request the audience to please type their questions in the live chat box so that Dr. Manoj Patel can respond to them. Thank you. You can call out their names.
Yeah, we know the doctor.
Dr. Vinod Durade,
Ha,
Homeopathy Heals,
yeah,
and Dr. Bhumi Dobaria.
yeah. What is the question, dear? Check the question if you can. Yeah, I can see all of you. I'm expecting some of you to ask question. How do you enter the case to know the feeling of patients? Dr. Vinod asked this question: how do you explore feeling state of patient? And I think this is one of the greatest challenge of constitutional prescribing, because if you understand that most of the action which we take in life, we apparently think that we are taking through rationals, logic, and thinking. But deep within, most of the actions which we take is based on our feeling state. It is predominant in most of the people, it is predominant force where people are going through a disturbed feeling state. And I say that everyone goes through all different types of feeling. There is not a single individual who has not felt sad in his life or happy in his life or uh, excited and angry in his life. But it is very, very important that which feeling is important. And in this study which I told you about stress, when you are trying to evaluate, it is called PNE axis, psycho neuroendocrinal axis. So when you are exploring, ask them a single question which I always ask: that what do you feel? Most of the people will say I felt upset or sad or angry. I will say that one of the greatest technique in homeopathy is don't just sit at the word. Angry means different thing to different people. Upset means different thing to different people. So I always ask, what do you mean by upset? And they feel upset means upset. So they are blocked at this level. Then help them to pursue. Can you describe what is upset? And most of the patient say that when I go through this feeling, I feel very agitated, I feel like crying. And doctor, I can't cry in public. So most of the time I prefer to cry when I go home. So do you know, now the quality and qualified thing of emotions will start flowing if you are first is take a proper cross section. And I always say to all my good homeopathic friends that each case is like a surgery. It's very pious. You have to create an environment of full sterility where entire operation theater goes through a process, same way your clinic, your setup, your personal mind. You have to take full hygienic measures in operation theater. In same way, when you take case, please give full respect. And whenever you put small incision in someone's life space, give with that same respect that what I'm asking, why I'm asking, what is the purpose, and the same attitude and aptitude will give you a fantastic data which you have never ever even imagined. A reserved patient today could share with me open heart. He said, I never shared with anyone that what I feel about my brother, what I feel about my superstition. He had a so many family members said that all you go through is because of someone has done black magic to you. He says that I'm so rational man. He comes from corporate business house. So he says, still, when someone told me this, I went to some peer people where I did all black magic related treatment. Now, generally, a rational man will find it very difficult. But when you are in crisis, you become this superstitious. So this particular individual, his superstition, his anger and waxed mood toward his family member because they didn't respond to his expectation, all this becomes a finer emotional aspect of his being. I am going to take little more detail on coming days on 10th April with Enlightened Education on these dimensions. So those who are really keenly interested, I'm going to take few cases and demonstrate to you how I do this entire process.
We have another question from Dr. Vansh Lunia. When strong positive factors are involved in an acute, but physicals are contradictory to remedy, how to proceed?
Yeah, so Dr. Once is asking that when strong causative factors are available, what is next is asking?
When strong positive factors are involved in an acute, but physicals are contradictory to the remedy.
Remedy. So here, Dr. Once is asking that mental and emotional causative factors are supportive of some remedy, and physical factors are contradicting to the emotional state. I will say that I very strongly believe in coordinates and congruences. I'm not going to just supersede because some emotional factors are very strong and contradictory physical factors. If they are very persistent and very characteristic, I will not let it go. I will keep my prescription open that at that point I may give causative mental factor a highest value, may prescribe that. Suppose my patient who is emotionally demonstrating grief, sadness like Ignatia, but is extremely better by sympathy. And or his physical or some symptoms are there which is not in favor of Ignatia. I would still prefer to take a modality properly and explore new remedy which may cover both dimensions. If it is not available, in that circumstances, I will give highest value to the causative mental factors. Dr. Once, if I have satisfied you.
The next question is by Dr. Archana Pardeshi. It seems difficult in introverts.
Yeah, that's what I told you. That introvert person are of two type. One who is not aware about what is happening to them. In psychiatry, we call it that their experiences are repressed. While there are people who are very reserved because they don't trust the opposite human being, what he will do of this information. Now, this type of reservedness, as a homeopath, I think I have succeeded in making most of the client feel comfortable, and trustworthy relationship between patient physician is the key to success. So many of my patients shared that even we have not shared with our husband, wife, parents this information, and then they share with you, because this is a very unique relationship in their life, where person is not involved in their day-to-day life, and yet he is completely involved in his this particular space of life where he is suffering. So if you use adequate technique and skill, where you give confidence to your client that I'm there for you, then there is all these people in the world wants to share somewhere. It's a issue is not of they don't want to share, issue is they don't find right person. And to become right person is something which each homeopath must learn.
Uh, Dr. Bhumi Dobaria is asking, after proper case taking, I cannot reach the simillimum. How to reach the simillimum medicine? I think this is little deviation from the
Yeah,
topic.
no problem. Bhumi, simillimum is a very challenging process. So if you are not able to reach to simillimum, is very natural. You'll be surprised why I'm saying this, because reaching to simillimum is long pathway. You will be reaching closer to even simillimum, you should be satisfied, because homeopathy medicine works as much as similarity is there. Exact simillimum with single dose, minimum dose, one dose is not a daily occurrence even in my clinic after 30 years of experience. So that's why Kant's follow-up and observations are so very important, that will guide you gradually to the right remedy, because body responds beautifully to the level of similarity. Whatever, even 10% level of similarity, body will respond accordingly. 50% similarity, body will respond accordingly, and a new form will be thrown, which will take you more closer to simillimum. Now, question comes up, how to reach simillimum if I don't have materia medica knowledge? And that's where the problem lies, that our study of materia medica is not as level as which I talked about the case taking. So a lot of authors have done their work of living materia medica, but I will be little cautious about this, that if you are a beginner, I will definitely recommend that analysis of case, what Dr. once mentioned about importance of causative factors, modalities, analyzing, repertorizing, and what at institute we call it potential differential field. So once you are repertorizing, you are using some of the data which is not there in repertory for a filtering of the group of remedy. I think this needs a case demonstration, which I'm going to do in one of my presentation. In coming two presentations are coming up in 10th April, where I'm presenting cases of different dimension, where I will share with you how this philosophy which I'm sharing with you helps you to reach to specific prescriptions. We will definitely post you. Dr. Keur will see that the all that webinars are being posted to you, and in that webinar, I am going to show you cross-sectional and longitudinal study, which will help you to come to simillimum through essential evolutionary totality.
Can we take one last question?
Yeah.
Uh, if patient's parents develop disease long time after birth of patient, then can we take this as an inherited miasm?
Come again?
If patient's parent develop disease long time after birth of the patient,
Yes.
then can we take this as an inherent miasm?
I think
Inherited, sorry.
inherited miasm is there. Expression. See, whatever, even if you have inherited diabetes, it's not going to come up immediately. You may have inherited, your father may have inherited, and 70% Indians inherit because of our experience and exposure to, in last previous few generation back, tuberculosis was rampant in India. It was managed partially, and many a time this has turned into a deep groove and a miasmatic state. And no wonder, with our type of living, our sedentary habits, that we are having propensity to suppose diabetes. So diabetes may express at later age. Your father may have developed at 55, but you also likely to develop diabetes at 50 or 55. So I think we should consider it as a miasmatic.
Okay. Sir, shall we announce the 24th April
Yeah, so it's very interesting. All of you are asking very interesting question. Your involvement into homeopathy, I really salute you, all of you, for all of your benefit. Friends, I have written one book called Perceiving Mind in Homeopathic Practice, because perceiving mind is beyond certain facts, and that needs special type of attention. And all questions which you have asked is addressed with evidence, with number of case studies in this book, which I am launching on 25th 24th April, Sunday morning. The book will be launched at Villa Parla. Those who can come, please put up message. Because of COVID protocol, we need that you are coming. You are most welcome to attend this. If you are unable to attend this function, please purchase that book. It has best of my insight which I learned from best of my teacher in my life. I'm devoting this book to both of my great teacher, Dr. Kumar Daude and Dr. NL Tiwari, who has contributed a lot in my life to make me into a good homeopath. Thank you very much. In this limited time, I could reach up to you. Furthermore, this is just the beginning. This is first time I have come alive. I would like to take feedback from all of you. Was it of some help? What changes you expect? Dare to be wise. What more you expect from me and my colleagues who are going to come to you frequently now. Thank you very much to Dr. Keur for organizing this.
And a big shout out to Dr. Vansh Dunia for supporting this program and all our alumni to heavily spread this message far across throughout India and abroad. Uh, and yes, finally, thanks to the audience who found time and attended this program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy Hanuman Day to everyone. How was it?